What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Walk It Off podcast. One of our first episodes where it's solely just based on me and Christian. Christian and I just talking baseball and not having a guest in this episode. But it's still going to be really fun. If you guys don't follow us on Instagram, the Instagram followers that saw our story saw our new format where we will start having Christian and I just talking baseball 2 times a week and then a guest the next time that week. So we'll start having 3 episodes per week. So Christian and I are definitely excited about that and really excited to get the Walk It Off podcast really off the ground and moving now up to this point. But in this week's episode, I'm going to kick it off by talking about the playoff format, the 16-team field for this 2020 MLB playoffs. It's an interesting one because all of the playoff games are in both Los Angeles and Texas. So that's definitely interesting and possibly play a role in home field advantage. It's not going to change anything as far as fans go because there's no fans either way. But possibly teams, feeling better pitching or hitting in their own stadium because they're more used to it. Possible teams, feeling more better in their own stadiums rather than in away stadiums. So let's just get into this by talking about the teams that are in this 2020 playoffs. It's starting off with the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Toronto Blue Jays, the Indians versus the Yankees, the Twins versus the Astros, the Athletics versus the White Sox, the Reds versus the Braves on the NL side of things, the Marlins facing the Cubs, the Cardinals facing the Padres, and the Brewers facing the Dodgers. So that's the NL side of things, and I said the AL side of things to start it off, ending it with the Chicago White Sox. So Christian, I'll start off with you. What's one series to look out for? There's some series in particular that stick out to you. So what's that series for you?
I think the NL side is going to be really interesting because you've got the Dodgers and the Brewers facing off right off the bat. Brewers have been playing well lately. Like they've been solid, and the Dodgers obviously have been really good all year long. They've got really a star-studded lineup, both pitching and hitting wise. So assuming obviously the favorite's going to be the Dodgers on that, and if that's the case, and I think the Padres are kind of the favorite between them and the Cardinals. Next thing you know, you're going to have Dodgers and the Padres, two pretty strong teams facing off, relatively early on to get into that championship series. So that's where I'm really going to be paying attention on the NL side. On the AL side, the Tampa Bay Rays, like they don't have. This isn't anything against any of their players, but there's really nobody that, really stands out. If you just look at the numbers on all their players, nobody really stands out. They're just a really good team that plays good baseball together. It's almost kind of a throwback to, older teams where, back in the 90s and stuff, you'd have teams that just played really good, solid baseball. And that kind of seems what they're like. And then you've got, powerhouses like the Yankees and the Astros are obviously, you can never count them out. So, my pick for the AL side, I think the Rays make it pretty far. And I've looked at a lot of other, brackets out there. A lot of people have the Rays going pretty far. A lot of the ones I've seen are Rays and Dodgers. So, my pick right now, I got to go with the Dodgers, and I want to see the White Sox in there.
Okay.
That's just what I want to see. I don't know. I don't know how likely it is. I know I said the Rockies would be in the World Series. That didn't go so well, so we'll see.
a little bias in there possibly earlier in the season with the Rockies. But for me on the AL side, what's that?
Doesn't hurt to have faith.
Yeah. They were definitely a team that could possibly do it if they were all healthy and their talent was all working together. Like you said, the Rays worked together. If the pitching and hitting and defensive side of things kind of meshed together, it was looking good for the Rockies this season. They have a ton of talent, but obviously Nolan was placed on the IL late in the season with soreness. But for me on the AL side of things, it's the Cleveland Indians that really stick out to me. They clinched the playoffs relatively late in the season, later in the season at least. It was fairly early, but compared to other teams, it was fairly late. But for me, it's the Indians. Jose Ramirez is absolutely hot. I believe his batting average is, just sub 340. And he just came off of a Player of the Month victory here in September, along with Freddie Freeman on the NL side of things. So that's definitely a team that sticks out to me on the AL side of things. And for the NL side of things, it's just like you. It's the LA Dodgers and the Padres that really stick out to me. It's as expected. Those two teams are just dominant. For the Padres, you got Eric Hosmer, Manny Machado, Will Myers, and Fernando Tatis. And the Dodgers, you obviously have dominant pitching, defense, and hitting. All of that is obviously dominant for the Dodgers. We'll see how Kershaw does in the playoffs, because sometimes throughout his career thus far, he's known for not playing too well in the playoffs. But I don't think that carries on for too much longer, because he's had so much experience in the playoffs that he's learned from his mistakes late in the season and into the playoffs as well. So those are my two picks. My two picks would be AL. It's not the Indians. I do see them, doing decent against the Yankees in the first series, but having to face the Yankees in the first series of the playoffs is going to be tough. But I do see the Yankees. I'm going to stand with my pick for the World Series champions. Like I said earlier in the season, before the season even started, I had the Yankees winning it all. My pick still stands. Christian's doesn't with his Rockies. So I have the Yankees versus...
You really go out on a limb. You pick the Yankees to win the World Series and Mike Trout to win the MVP. Problem is, you're probably going to be right. So
Trout, I don't think Trout will win. I could see Freeman over there winning NL MVP like you picked last week's episode, coming off a Player of the Month victory like I just mentioned. And then on the NL side of things, facing the Yankees in the World Series, I got to stick with the Dodgers because of everything they have in the pitching, defense, the offensive side of things as well. Everything they have just meshes together. And for the Padres, for me, they're just too inconsistent. Obviously, Tatis showed a lot of consistency towards the beginning and middle part of this shortened 2020 season. But, towards the tail end of the season, he started to fall off a tiny bit. He could definitely get hot again and, carry the Padres throughout late into the postseason and possibly into the World Series. But, for me, it's the Dodgers versus the Yankees. No questions asked. So with that being said, let's transition into our next topic. Now let's transition into talking about the players of the month in the month of September. We just wrapped up September baseball, headed into the playoffs for this 2020 shortened season. For players of the month, it's Freddie Freeman hitting .375 with 8 home runs, 32 RBIs, which led him to win the NL Player of the Month. It's kind of, resiliating to Christian's pick of late MVP. He's really sticking out to Christian as NL MVP, which is definitely understandable, coming off of .375 month of September batting average. And then Jose Ramirez for the AL hitting .366 with 10 home runs and 24 RBIs, which led him to grabbing the AL award for Player of the Month. And then moving on to the pitchers, it's Trevor Bauer with a 1.29 ERA and 46 Ks, which he was recognized as the NL Pitcher of the Month. Chris Bassett, 3-0 record with a 0.34 ERA, and he took home the AL honor for Pitcher of the Month. For Rookies of the Month, we have Angels' Jared Walsh blasting 9 home runs, 26 RBIs, which grabbed him the AL Rookie of the Month. And Pirates, Ke'Bryan Hayes hitting .376 with 5 home runs en route to win NL award for the Rookie of the Month. And to wrap it up, the relievers of the month, we have Devin Williams with 9 appearances and 13 scoreless innings, which led him on to winning NL reliever of the month. And Mike Mayers pitching 18.1 innings pitched and 0.98 ERA, which led him on to winning the AL winner. And I just noticed Ke'Bryan Hayes. I actually saw a clip of Pirates second baseman Cole Tucker talking about Ke'Bryan Hayes. He said that Ke'Bryan could possibly be the next Nolan Arenado, could possibly be, the next Matt Chapman. And I could definitely see that just looking at his stats in the month of September. And he's still only a rookie. And a guy like Cole Tucker saying that, Cole Tucker having, all-star capabilities, being one of the best second basemen in the league, having Cole Tucker say that about a rookie and obviously him just coming off of a Rookie of the Month in the month of September, I could definitely possibly see that in the future. So that wraps up everything for this week's episode of the Walk It Off podcast, and in particular this Wednesday's episode, the first ever episode where just Christian and I planned on just talking ourselves. So make sure you guys go check out our Instagram at walkitoff_podcast. And Christian, you have anything else to add for this week's episode?
Yeah, I got one thing. Shout out to DJ LeMahieu, former teammate of mine, batting title in the ALNL. First player in the modern era to do it, or ever.
It was one of those two. First to
either way.
One of those two, yeah.
Awesome accomplishment. Great guy. One of my favorite teammates ever. Congrats to him.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats, DJ. And make sure you guys drop your comments for next week's Wednesday episode. We will be answering your guys' comments and questions every Wednesday on Wednesday episodes. And make sure you guys go stay tuned for Friday's episode with Justin Henry Malloy. And then next Monday, as well, as we will be talking about the playoffs and who is taking us by surprise and not necessarily performing as well in this year's playoffs. So make sure you guys go stay tuned for those episodes. Follow us on Instagram, like I mentioned, subscribe, and do everything that I just mentioned. See ya.